Donald Trump just suffered one of the biggest legal defeats of his presidency. The Supreme Court ripped up his plan to end birthright citizenship. And less than 48 hours later, the very players his own administration wanted to shut the door on were out on a field in California, wearing the red, white, and blue, sending the United States into the next round of the World Cup. If you think that's a coincidence, stick around because it's not. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're breaking down two stories colliding in real time: the Supreme Court's ruling on birthright citizenship and the USMNT's historic World Cup run, and why the people cheering one and attacking the other might want to think that through a little more carefully.
It was the most important, and we want some others too. It was the most important decision of all of them, I think. But we'll take care of the birthright citizenship because that was not meant for rich people from other countries. That was meant for, actually, it was meant for the babies of slaves. If you look at it, it was a month after the Civil War ended that it went through. That's because it was meant for the babies of slaves. It wasn't meant for rich people from China. They came over in Gulf Streams. It was meant for the babies of slaves. So I know they got it wrong, but that's okay because they gave us something that nobody thought. But they also gave us something in one of the sessions a year ago. It was called merit. Our country now is based again on merit.
Let's get into it. On January 20th, 2025, his very first day back in office, Trump signed an executive order trying to end automatic citizenship for babies born on U.S. soil to parents who were undocumented or here temporarily. It never actually went into effect. Lower courts blocked it almost immediately. But this past week, it finally reached the Supreme Court for a final answer. And the answer was not what Trump wanted. In a 6-3 decision written by Chief Justice John Roberts, a Republican appointee, by the way, the court said the 14th Amendment means what it has always meant. If you're born on U.S. soil and subject to U.S. jurisdiction, you are a citizen. Full stop. Roberts leaned on more than a century of precedent, going all the way back to the landmark Wong Kim Ark case, to say this isn't up for reinterpretation by executive order. Even Amy Coney Barrett, a Trump appointee herself, joined the majority. That's a signal. This wasn't a razor-thin partisan split where Trump could say the radical left got him. His own appointee looked at the text of the Constitution and said, no. On the other side, Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, and Neil Gorsuch dissented. Thomas argued the 14th Amendment was written specifically for formerly enslaved people after the Civil War, not for children of temporary visitors. Alito went further, calling the ruling a serious mistake and warning it creates what he called a powerful incentive for people to enter the country illegally. So legally, that's where things stand. Birthright citizenship stays exactly as it's always been. Politically, this is now the third major loss for Trump at the Supreme Court in recent months, following the earlier ruling that struck down his tariff policy. Now here's where it gets interesting. Trump didn't take this quietly. He went to Truth Social and told Congress to act immediately, saying no constitutional amendment is necessary and that lawmakers pursuing his position would have, in his words, his complete and total support. He even fired off a second sarcastic post congratulating Chinese President Xi Jinping on what he called China's massive birthright citizenship win, a jab tied back to the same historic Wong Kim Ark case Roberts cited in the ruling. This isn't new behavior from him after a loss like this. Reports say that when the court struck down his tariffs earlier this year, Trump reacted furiously, saying he was ashamed of the justices and calling them unpatriotic. He'd already been previewing his anger before this ruling even came down too, posting about what he called dumb judges and justices on this exact case. So when I say Trump is furious about this ruling, that's not me putting words in his mouth. That's a pattern. Every time the court doesn't rule his way, no matter who appointed the justices, the response is the same. Attack the decision, attack the judges, and push Congress to route around the Constitution instead. Except here's the problem for him. Routing around the 14th Amendment isn't something Congress can do with a regular law. It's in the Constitution. Changing it requires an actual constitutional amendment, needing 2/3 of both chambers of Congress and 3/4 of the states. That's an extraordinarily high bar, built that way on purpose. So a right this fundamental couldn't be rewritten just because one administration didn't like it anymore. While this ruling was dropping, something else was happening that made the timing almost poetic. The United States men's national team beat Bosnia and Herzegovina 2-0 in the World Cup round of 32 on home soil in Santa Clara, California. That's the USMNT's first knockout round win since 2002. 24 years. The man who scored the opening goal? Folarin Balogun. Born in Brooklyn, New York, raised in England, with family roots in Nigeria, he actually chose to represent the United States over England back in 2023. He's been the USMNT's leading scorer this tournament. His goal against Bosnia was his third of the World Cup, tying him with Landon Donovan for the second most World Cup goals in USMNT history. And here's the kicker. Balogun was born a U.S. citizen because of the exact same 14th Amendment the Trump administration just tried to gut. He was born on U.S. soil. That's it. That's the whole qualification. No asterisks, no exceptions for how long his mother was visiting, no test for whether his parents were citizens. Just born here, and citizen at birth. Precisely the principle the Supreme Court just reaffirmed 6-3. He wasn't even the only player who benefits from that rule. Balogun ended up serving a suspension for the very next match after a red card late in the Bosnia game, a call U.S. Soccer and his teammates publicly disagreed with, meaning the U.S. had to go into their round of 16 matchup against Belgium without their top scorer. Midfielder Malik Tillman stepped up in that Bosnia match with a stunning free kick to seal the win, and he's part of a squad built from talent that grew up across multiple countries and soccer academies before coming together to wear the American crest. Think about that for a second. The same week Trump's administration is arguing in court that birthright citizenship degrades the meaning and value of American citizenship, the American team playing on American soil, in front of American fans, in the tournament America is co-hosting with Canada and Mexico, is doing it specifically because of birthright citizenship. You can't have it both ways. You can't cheer this team on Saturday and cheer an executive order trying to strip away the legal basis for that team's existence on Tuesday. That's not patriotism with an asterisk. That's just a contradiction. Let's zoom out. This ruling matters beyond soccer. Reporting during the case put the number of babies affected somewhere between 250,000 and 500,000 born every year in the U.S. to parents who are undocumented or here temporarily. Advocacy groups pointed out these children could have ended up effectively stateless, not citizens of the U.S., and in many cases not automatically eligible for citizenship anywhere else either. The administration's argument, made directly in court filings, was that in a world where billions of people are one plane ride away from having a citizen child, the old rule doesn't work anymore. The court didn't buy it. Roberts' opinion pointed all the way back to the post-Civil War framers, who wrote the amendment broadly and deliberately, specifically so that citizenship couldn't be manipulated by whoever happened to be in power. And there's a layer of irony sitting on top of all of this. This ruling landed right around the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence, a moment that was supposed to be a massive national celebration. Meanwhile, the thing actually pulling a nation together this week, genuinely, visibly, across a stadium of 100,000 people, is a World Cup being played by a team built on the very constitutional principle the administration just lost a case trying to unwind. If you're looking for what unity in this country actually looks like right now, it's not coming from a podium. It's coming from a locker room full of guys with roots in Nigeria, England, and a dozen other countries, all wearing the same crest. All citizens because they were born here. So here's where things stand. The Supreme Court just delivered Trump his third major defeat of the term. Birthright citizenship isn't going anywhere without a constitutional amendment, something that would need a level of bipartisan support that simply doesn't exist right now. And meanwhile, the USMNT keeps winning, keeps making history, and keeps doing it with a roster that is a walking argument for exactly the amendment Trump wanted gone. If you found this breakdown useful, hit subscribe, drop a comment with what you think Congress should actually do next, and I'll see you in the next one.